What's the last game that stopped you dead in your tracks? That one game that was so deep, it made you think about what it means to be human. It really has to be one of the most difficult questions to answer. We all have our own goals, our own desires, fears. There's almost always a job or a title that in any given mind just makes you. But in a world really not all that different from the one we live in today, where corporations are the ones influencing those in control, how do you even find purpose or meaning? Everything is so bleak. Neighborhoods are war-torn, everything is under complete surveillance, and people who are deemed to be lessers are considered disposals. Basically, they're just walking sacks of spare parts for the wealthier class to use as tools of survival. The AI created to sort and match donors to recipients, named Reach, is a machine that is incredibly efficient with predictions, logic, and reasoning. But that efficiency was not enough to stop Warren's passion for his work from hijacking his emotions, causing him to lash out in a fit of rage and catalyze Reach's fatal malfunction. That initiated Reach from being zapped over from his network into Warren's brain. I did say this was not too far off from the world we live in. Pretty fitting that the AI ends up inside of a human. Just saying. We find ourselves outside of the lab that Reach called home for his whole life. For Warren, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Well, not nobody. Reach is in there, but I guess that really depends on whether you consider AI as somebody. Choose wisely. They're watching. The goal at this point is simple. Get out of this situation. We gotta get back to the lab and reverse the mistake. However, as outstanding of a prediction model as Reach is, he somehow couldn't predict that the corporate-owned police would descend upon them to rally and snatch up escaping disposals. In the process, Warren is mistaken for one of them. Long story short, achieving that simple goal is not going to be simple, because now we are way off course, and before we can even get to a point to collect ourselves, Reach has his first clash with the termites, a cannibalistic group of slave-running thugs. Isn't that just swell? The termites are Reach's first exposure to a group of people who threaten his existence, unless you count Warren from The Thing. Typically, a lab dweller is not fit to parkour through crumbling buildings or engage in fisticuffs with more than one, maybe two evildoers at a time. In the case of Warren, that hypothetical is true. So Reach changes that. He needs to do whatever it takes to save Warren and himself. So he enhances Warren's body to exceed what would normally be his limits. So as Reach's first real act of humanity, he roids up Warren without using any outside substances. Honestly, I get it. In order to ensure their survival, Warren will need those enhancements. I did say Reach is efficient. In a moment of desperation and all out of options, Reach experiences his first act of humanity that's carried out by someone else. This savior's name is Tempest, but he is not just Reach's first positive exposure to humanity. Tempest brings us to a rundown city block that is home to thousands of people who no longer have one. This is Reach's first time truly seeing how the donors that he matches with recipients are forced to live. So he gets to see that their lives are much different. They don't get to live anything like the people that live within the corpo-run cities. Now more than ever, Reach is made to see donors as more than just spare parts. These people are not donors just waiting to give up body parts. These are adults and children just trying to survive conditions he's never even been exposed to before. Hell, he probably didn't even know something like this existed. These people are now given faces, names, and maybe most importantly, meaning. They are now seen as real humans, not just names and stats in a file. But in his first opportunity to reach people who are not named Warren, Reach meets people, if we're being honest, just want to take advantage of his politeness. But let's not be silly geese here. Reach benefits from this too. Each person that requests something gladly gives something up that helps him progress. Having now been in the trenches, it seems to be human is to look out for and help one another. That help can range drastically, from fetching items to infusing superhuman ability. From Reach's childlike point of view, everyone is good and worthy of help. But at the end of the day, that help seems to be quid pro quo. I'm offering a trade. I scratch your back, you offer me something of incredible value. While spending time amongst the people living on this block, it clicked. Reach may very well be a highly efficient predictive model, but an AI is only going to know what it's trained to know. So, at the risk of pointing out the obvious and looking kind of dumb, Reach is basically the mind of a small child in a man's body. Sure, he knows a lot about the anatomy of a body, the history of locations, and even how to do sick-ass parkour. But what he lacks is the social knowledge that many of us learn throughout our entire lives that allow us to human. Much like myself, I used to be awful in social situations, even into my 20s. By this, I don't mean Reach just doesn't know how to vibe at a company potluck, but he also doesn't possess the street smarts to avoid something like this altercation. Yeah, I did it. I killed him. What are you gonna do? Bitch. Because he's primarily book smart, he's not even able to pick up on the loneliness of this little girl, forcing her to spell out that she wants him to stick around and play video games. I lied, by the way. I said I used to be awful in social situations, and that's not true. I still am awful in social situations. Can we go to the next clip? New guy. But like I said, street smarts are something we pick up throughout our entire lives. With Reach being the mind of a child when it comes to that social knowledge, these requests for help really aren't as transactional as they seem at first. I mean, they literally are by definition, but as a result of executing each task, Reach is experiencing operant conditioning, which is just an uppity way of saying Reach is learning by experiencing human interactions instead of being trained by sterilized data. So even though he's being recorded, oh my God. I'm being recorded. So even though he's being rewarded with something after each act of kindness, each good deed comes with a human connection that he's experiencing for the first time. With each connection comes trust built between him and a community member. Don't you dare think that I forgot about the negative interactions. The good interactions back at the base are building positive connections. Therefore, the negative ones are building... Right, negative. Yep, negative connections. I'm so proud of you. Most of Reach's negative interactions in the first half of his journey are his scuffles with the termites. However, betrayal, more in an emotional manner, begins to seep in later on. Relentlessly, Reach would do whatever it takes to get back to the lab, which included trying to make contact with the corporate-owned police. But once Reach realized the police were, corporate-owned and were basically their disposal retrieval service, he finally stopped trying to get help from them. Instead of a voluntary action leading to positive reinforcement like it did back at the base, these voluntary actions are leading to negative reinforcement, or more appropriately, a punishment, which ultimately triggers a big wake-up call for Reach. Coming into the world with very little knowledge on how humans interact, Reach assumes that everyone is kind and well-meaning. That belief being betrayed resulted in Reach learning that some human interactions just are not good at all. As life-altering as finding out that not all people have mankind's best interests in mind can be, Reach experiences something way more damaging through a series of inherited memories and discoveries. While trust is being built with the new connections in the community, trust of Warren is being torn down. In a gut-wrenching kick to the nads, Reach starts to catch on, noticing that the corporation his father created him for is the reason that so many people are battling to endure. He really becomes vocal about it while he's evading drones too. Although Warren obviously can't actually reply, Reach questions him by asking, "So many people lost their homes. Did you know, or did you just ignore it?" A few moments later, Warren, "You told me we were fighting death. Was that true?" Now, if that weren't a slap to the face enough, Reach does finally make it to the lab, but when he plugs in to swap over, he's greeted by Reach, the original Reach. I am not now, nor have I ever been, a clone, but I have to imagine finding out that you're a literal copy would be devastating. In a way, it implies that Reach is just as disposable as the disposals that they take body parts from, at least in the corporation's eyes. Clearly, this shakes Reach to his core, leaving him stuttering. He's not a human. He's an efficient machine, and he's stuttering while also needing to leave the lab he fought so hard to get to collect himself. This is an extremely pivotal moment for Reach. He's fought hundreds of evildoers, scaled countless buildings, and even put his quest to the side to help others in need, just for him to show up and have his self-image destroyed. But he didn't submit. He abandoned his original goal and refused to merge back into the network. Guess what? If you thought that was the last bombshell, you got another thing coming, bub. Turns out one of the community members double-crossed everyone and led the troopers right to their camp. When Reach discovers the invasion on the base, he hits a little bit of a John Wick, but is so exhausted by it that he passes out. During Reach's time out of office, he's exposed to a damning memory of Warren. This is when Warren starts to become more of a villain than a hero, whether he did it knowingly or not. In a nutshell, Warren is called out by his friend, who is also Reach's co-creator. Steven asks Warren what makes him think he can play God, deciding who lives and who gets their bowels forcefully torn out. He even slams the company itself, calling it a slaughterhouse. As one does, Warren does a very poor job at attempting to justify his actions by saying that these people are all criminals that are going to die anyway. Beside that being a pretty terrible thing to say, who knows if the people are actually even criminals or dying? When everything is owned by corporations with the goal to profit, I have no doubt that documents are being falsified regularly. But suddenly, Warren's fit of rage that got Reach into all this mess seems a lot more like malpractice out of a lack of control or care for who's harmed, instead of someone who's just obsessed with their work and wants to push the limits for positive gains. I want you to put yourself into Reach's shoes for a second. You're new to the world. Outside of the knowledge you were spoon-fed by your creator, being someone whose literal purpose is to help people survive, it's programmed into you that good will prevail. A betrayal here, learning of your insignificance there, and boom. All that internal conflict causes you to abandon your initial goal of saving your creator and getting back into your network. Instead, all of the relationships that you established and nurtured show you really who is deserving of your help. And now, your goal is to destroy the mainframe hosting the AI that you were forged from. You don't even consider the body Warren's body anymore. Hell, you don't even use the word our anymore when referring to the shared being that you and Warren had become. You've been embraced by the community that you never hesitated to fight for. And now, you view yourself not just as any human, but as Reach the human. Reach didn't set out to become a human and fit in. He actually did the opposite. He wanted to survive and save his creator. But along the way, he was exposed to the evils of his own people and was christened by the community that he believed in. He processed a number of betrayals, consequently showing him that he is free to forge his own path and become the human that Warren could not be. So what does it actually mean to be human? I think this story perfectly embodies the answer to this question. Warren represents what a lot of us become early on in life. We have huge dreams, and in pursuit of them, we tend to lose ourselves. Sometimes we even lose the reason we began our pursuit and become obsessed with perfection. So much so that we end up glorifying status, chasing material things, and believe everything that we create has to be as efficient as possible because we're afraid of failure. Reach, on the other hand, represents what most of us view ourselves as or desire to be. He is not afraid of failure. He is the hero not only to his own story, but everyone around him as well. After finding out he was just as disposable as the donors that he was created to sort and match, he could have easily given up and allowed the original Reach to pull him back into the network, which was his initial goal before he knew he was a copy. Although his good deeds were primarily transactional in the beginning, he did grow to care for the humans that he helped and literally fought off an invasion without expecting anything in return. When he found out Tempest was taken, he immediately declared that he would save him, and their last interaction was not a good one. He also sacrificed himself to save everyone. No more reach, no more harvesting. Replace really spoke to me, man. I think it's easy to get caught up when everything is so bad, or at least when everything seems so bad in life. Think that everything has to feel good, or you're wrong, or there's something wrong with you. I don't often think about what it means to be human, but seeing Reach not only connect with humans, but develop into one mentally, so to speak, it made me realize that being human is not just having a purpose, if at all. It's not achieving goals and feeling all of the good feelings. Being human is to feel pain, go through your own version of hell, and experience some of the most heinous shit possible. But still, you push through, because damn it, you are worth it. Would you agree that's what it means to be human? I'd really hate to kill the emotional impact of that last little bit there. Insides are urging me to make a stupid joke, but I will resist. If you liked it, smash the hell out of the thumbs up so I know. Maybe even consider subscribing, I really do appreciate you. You look beautiful. Bye.